Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Tonight we're going to cover a very difficult topic. The question is, I have doubts about Allah. Does that mean I'm going to hell? So tonight is night 15 of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. The 50-yard line, the halfway mark. And tonight we're going somewhere most Islamic content is afraid to go. We're talking about doubt. So let's start by saying the quiet part out loud. Doubt is a real issue these days, and it affects all Muslims, but especially young Muslims. But here's what might surprise you. Doubt is not always the opposite of faith. The question, though, is how to manage feelings and thoughts of doubt about Allah and Islam, and that's what we have on the menu tonight. Third year of medical school for me, pathology lab. We're looking at slides of diseased tissue under microscopes, tumors, necrosis, cells eating themselves alive. I remember one of my classmates saying, if God was real, why does he build something so beautiful as the human body and then let it destroy itself from the inside with cancer? And the uncomfortable truth is that a growing number of young Muslims today are thinking the same thoughts. Even though they may not say them out loud, for them, their faith is decaying day by day. They're riddled with doubt. Not the doubt of someone who's leaving Islam. I'm talking about you. Someone who prays, who cares, who genuinely wants to believe, but sometimes in the quiet moments isn't so sure. That's the doubt I want to talk about tonight. I want to tell you first about the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is a man that Allah Azza wa Jal took as his best friend. He was known as Khalilullah, not just a prophet, not just a messenger, but the BFF of the Almighty. And yet, there's a moment in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 260, that stops me every time I read it. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asks Allah, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. And this is the part I need you to hear. Allah responds with a question. قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Don't you believe? And Ibrahim responds to that by saying, قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. For sure I believe, but I ask you so that my heart may be reassured. So let's hear that again. So that my heart may be reassured. The Khalil of Allah, the man who was thrown into fire for his faith, had a heart that needed reassurance. He didn't pretend. He didn't perform certainty that he didn't have. He went to Allah with that doubt. And what did Allah do? He didn't punish him. He didn't rebuke him. He showed him. He answered. And that is what classical scholars have distinguished. And this is important. There's a difference between doubt that seeks and doubt that rejects. Ibrahim's doubt was a seeking doubt. He wanted to know more. He was running toward Allah, not away. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, one of the greatest Islamic scholars who ever lived, described this as talab, a seeking, a searching, the heart that says, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I want to be. This is a heart that Allah meets. The opposite is i'rad, turning away. That's when someone doubts and decides, I don't want the answer. That's not who you are. If you're watching night 15 of a Ramadan series, at whatever time it is, wherever you are seeking, alhamdulillah. A lot of us grew up being told that doubt equals weak faith, and that good Muslims don't doubt. So let me reassure you that that's not from the Quran or from the Sunnah. It's from a culture of religious performance that was more concerned with appearances than your actual heart. The Prophet ﷺ, in the authentic hadith in Sahih Muslim, told the companions that the shaitan may come to a person and whisper, who created this, who created that, until he asks, who created Allah? And his advice wasn't, you're a bad Muslim for having that thought. His advice was, say, I believe in Allah, and stop. Recognize it for what it is. Don't follow the spiral. That's a spiritually gentle response, not a punitive one. Okay, so you have doubts. Not the end of the world. What do you do next? 3 things. Practical, tonight. Number 1, bring it to Allah, not away from Him. The mistake most doubting teens make is they stop praying because they feel like a hypocrite. praying when they're not sure. But Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't stop. He asked. He came running to Allah with his needs, not turning away. Keep showing up to Salah, even if it feels a bit hollow or shallow right now. We're talking more about that tomorrow, inshallah. Number two, find people who can walk you through the answer to that question. Not everybody can. Some people will panic when you share a doubt. Find a scholar or a teacher, a thoughtful adult who has wrestled with these questions themselves. They do exist. The great scholars of Islam were not strangers to intellectual struggle and not to questions like this. Number three, distinguish the question from the crisis. Asking, does Allah exist, as an intellectual exploration is very different from feeling spiritually abandoned. Both are real, but they need different responses. One needs knowledge, the other needs connection. And one more point that I hope will drive this home. In Islam, doubt vanishes in the face of knowledge. Doubt is the absence of certainty, and certainty in Islam comes from knowledge. This is actually pretty unique and pretty cool because Islam is like the one thing that gets stronger the more you know. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Of all of Allah's servants, only those who are knowledgeable of Him are truly in awe of Him. Subhanallah. So back to that pathology lab. That question bothered me because I didn't have a satisfying answer to it. And so I took it to a mentor, an older Muslim doctor who had seen it all. He said something I've never forgotten. He told me, the fact that the question disturbs you means that you care about the answer. An atheist isn't disturbed by a tumor. You are. That disturbance itself is a sign. And that is exactly how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ answered those who had similar thoughts. Some of the companions came to the Prophet ﷺ and they asked him, we find in ourselves that which is too grievous to speak of. The Prophet ﷺ said, have you indeed found it that way? And they said, yes. So the Prophet ﷺ said to them, that is pure faith. So the idea was that they came to him with doubts. They said, we have these doubts, but we're afraid to talk about them. And he said, the fact that you have these feelings is a sign of your faith. But what we have to do is we have to follow it up. We can't just let it linger. We need to go out and again, seek the answer. So tonight, if you're doubting, you're in good company. You're in the company of the BFF of the Almighty, of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So don't run from the question, bring it to him. Tomorrow night, inshallah, we talk about what happens when you do show up to pray and it feels like nothing. Prayer feels empty. That one's real too. So drop in the comments. Have you ever felt like you couldn't say what you actually believed out loud? What stopped you? Extended edition in the email daily. Be sure to sign up on Beehive. And don't forget to check out muslimmatters.org, where every night, alhamdulillah, we have a post that features more on this topic, as well as discussion questions that you can have as a family. I look forward, inshallah, to seeing you tomorrow night. And please do comment if this is resonating with you. I'd love to see your comments, and it really helps encourage the series. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.